into reading or project? All right, should I pop up Logos so it starts loading? Okay, please. She's far away enough. Shouldn't be distracting for us. Hope we done Matthew. Yeah, we done Matthew part 1 and part 2 yesterday. Yeah, we did. Now we do Mark.
The Gospel according to Mark is one of the first accounts of the life of Jesus, and our earliest historical traditions link this book to a Christian scribe named Mark, or John Mark. He was a co-worker with Paul and a close partner with Peter. And in fact, an ancient church historian named Papias, he recalls that Mark had collected all of the eyewitness accounts and memories of Peter and then shaped them into this account. But Mark didn't just randomly throw the pieces together. He's carefully designed this story of Jesus. In the first line of the book, Mark makes this claim about Jesus. It's the beginning of the good news about Jesus, the Messiah, the Son of God. Now, what's interesting is that this is the only time Mark is going to tell you what he thinks. For the rest of the book, he's going to influence you by simply putting Jesus' actions and words in front of you and showing you how other people react to him. Now, Mark's designed the story of Jesus as a drama with 3 acts. The first one set in Galilee, the third one is set in Jerusalem, and the second act shows Jesus on the way from one place to the other. And each of the acts focuses on a repeated theme. So in Act 1, everybody's blown away by Jesus, and they're wondering, who is this Jesus? In Act 2, it's the disciples who are struggling to understand what it means for Jesus to be the Messiah. And then in Act 3, we watch the surprising paradox of how Jesus becomes the Messianic king. Let's just dive in and you'll see how it unfolds. After the opening line, Mark begins with a quotation from the ancient prophets Isaiah and Malachi, who said that God would send a messenger to Israel to prepare them for when God would show up himself to rescue his people and become their king. And Mark introduces John the Baptist as that messenger, and then right when you expect God to show up personally, Mark introduces Jesus. And as he comes onto the scene, the heavens open, God's Spirit descends on Jesus, and God says, "You are my beloved Son." After this, Mark places in front of us a summary of Jesus' core message. He went about Galilee announcing the good news that God's kingdom has come near. Jesus is carrying forward the story from the Old Testament scriptures about God's rescue operation for his world. Through Jesus, God is restoring his reign over the world by confronting and defeating evil and its hold on people's lives, and then by inviting them to live under his reign by following Jesus. From here, Mark's given us a big block of stories showing us Jesus' power as he brings God's kingdom. He goes about healing people whose bodies are sick or broken or under the oppression of dark spiritual powers. And Jesus even does something that for Jewish people only God has the right to do. He forgives people's sins. And Jesus' actions here produce lots of different responses. So some people follow him and become his disciples. Other people don't know what to think, and still others reject him completely, especially Israel's leaders who accuse him of blaspheming God and being empowered by evil. But Jesus isn't surprised by these responses. In fact, he draws attention to it. In chapter 4, Mark has collected many of Jesus' parables about the hidden, mysterious nature of God's kingdom. And Jesus says that his message is like seed falling on different types of soil. Some are receptive, some are not. Or it's like a mustard seed that's very tiny. It seems insignificant, but then it grows huge and surprises everyone. Jesus' point is that he really is the Messiah, bringing God's kingdom, but it doesn't look like what anybody expected. And this growing confusion about Jesus among the crowds is connected to a key idea Mark emphasizes at the end of Act 1, that even among Jesus' disciples there's confusion. Even they are struggling to grasp who Jesus really is, and that brings us to Act 2. It begins with a crucial conversation. Jesus takes the disciples aside and he asks, "Who do you all say that I am?" And Peter speaks up saying, "You're the Messiah." But it becomes clear that for Peter, this means that Jesus is a victorious military king from the line of David who will rescue Israel from the Romans. But for Jesus to be the Messiah means that he's the suffering servant king of Isaiah 53, who will bring God's rule by giving up his life in Jerusalem. And the disciples, they don't get it. They think following King Jesus is going to mean fame and status and importance, and Jesus makes it clear that following him is actually like dying, like carrying your own cross. It means rejecting violence and pride and selfishness and giving one's life out for others in acts of service and love. He has the same conversation with them 2 more times, and it all culminates in Jesus' important statement that the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to become a servant and give his life as a ransom for many. The disciples still don't get it. They respond in confusion and fear. And so here in Act 2, Mark has placed another key story that echoes the book's introduction. Jesus takes 3 of his disciples up to a mountain, and he's suddenly transformed. He's radiating with light and glory, and a cloud envelops them. Now, this is just like the glory of the God of Israel that showed up long ago on Mount Sinai. And then the 2 prophets who stood in God's presence on Mount Sinai, Moses and Elijah, they appear next to Jesus as God announces again, "This is my beloved Son." Now, by placing this story in the middle of all these conversations in Act 2, Mark is making an astounding claim that Jesus, God's Son, is the physical embodiment of God's own glory. And in Jesus, the glorious God of Israel is going to become king by suffering and dying for the sins of his own people. It's a puzzling claim that confuses and scares the disciples as they leave the mountain. Which brings us to Act 3. Jesus makes a very public royal entry into Jerusalem for Passover. People are hailing him as the Messiah. Then he enters into the temple courtyard and he asserts his royal authority by running out the thieves and crooks and stopping the sacrificial system. Then this kicks off a whole week of Jesus debating and confronting the leaders of Israel, condemning their hypocrisy, and so they set in motion a plan to have him killed. And Jesus warns his disciples, predicting that Jerusalem and its temple will be destroyed within a generation, and his disciples will be persecuted just like him, until he returns one day to bring God's kingdom fully over the world. And it all leads up to the final night. Jesus has his last Passover meal with the disciples, a symbolic meal that told the story of Israel's liberation from slavery through the death of the Passover lamb. And Jesus takes these symbols and he gives them new meaning. They point to the liberation from sin and death that will happen through the death of the suffering servant Messiah. From here, the story rushes forward to Jesus' arrest, his trial before Israel's priests and the Roman governor Pilate, all resulting in Jesus' crucifixion. And it culminates in a key scene that matches the important scenes from Acts 1 and 2, except this time it's darkness that descends, not a cloud. And instead of the divine voice from heaven, it's Jesus' voice crying out before he dies. And then most surprising is that it's a Roman soldier who sees Jesus die, who grasps and then announces who Jesus is. This man was the Son of God. He's the first person in the story to recognize the story's shocking claim about Jesus' identity, that it's the crucified Son of God who's the Messiah, Jesus of Nazareth, who died for his friends and for his enemies. After this, Jesus' body is placed in a tomb, and on the first day of the new week, 2 women from his disciples come to the tomb, and they discover that the tomb is empty, the stone's rolled away. And an angelic man informs them that Jesus isn't here, that he's risen from the dead. And so he orders them to go and tell this good news to the other disciples, that Jesus is alive, that he'll meet them back up in Galilee. And the women, they're freaked out. Mark says that they fled from the tomb in terror, telling no one, for they were afraid. And that's how the book ends, with Jesus' disciples showing the same kind of fear and confusion that concluded Acts 2 and 1. Now, if you look in your Bible, you'll see that the Gospel of Mark has more to its ending, where Jesus appears, he speaks to his disciples, but there's also a note there telling you that that ending is not part of the original book, that it's only found in later, less reliable manuscripts. Now, it's possible that the original ending got lost, or that Mark actually never finished writing his account, but it's more likely that this abrupt ending is intentional to make a point. The entire story has focused on the shocking claim that puzzled Jesus' disciples from beginning to end, that it's the suffering, crucified, and risen Jesus who's the Messiah, the Son of God. that God's love and upside-down kingdom were revealed as Jesus died for the sins of the world. And so this story ends without closure, and it forces you, the reader, to grapple with this very strange and scandalous claim about Jesus. And are you going to run away like the disciples? Or are you going to recognize Jesus as your king and go and tell the good news? And only you can answer that question. And that's what the Gospel of Mark is all about.
All right. So takeaways. So let's recap then. So what we're having here is Mark, which an early church historian, Papias, said that he collected it from an eyewitness, Peter, from a lot of sources. And so what he does this way of like Jesus just super proclaiming who he is, and then people are like at the end of each part are like, huh? Who? What? E? And even at the end, and you have these moments where it's like clearly who King Jesus is, but it's showing like people's responses have always been even. I mean, we all have hard times. Even how we're talking to our friends and family this morning, we all have hard times where we compromise and don't get it. Something drop? Oh, the end piece? Little rubber stomper. But we do know that they get it. But they're in a lot of their brains, they're really thinking that this Messiah was going to kill all the bad Romans. But here is this man who had just shown the way of peace, talking about ruling as dying. Like, it's hard to believe now, but it would be really hard to believe that then, because that's how people ruled then. All right, so looks like we finished the scroll Micah, and now we're going through the scroll Nahum. Nahum. Nahum chapter 1 to chapter 2. King Jesus, you're amazing. Thank you that we guys have a delightful day, that we drive out, can hang out in nature. We can just utilize your beautiful creation. May we just embody you, die for the other like you. Thank you for being the king who didn't come with the sword to slay your enemies, and then anyone who then has to follow you is a ruler, a destroy everyone ruler. But no, you showed you've inaugurated that kingdom ruling is serving the other. Thank you for this is what ruling is with you. May we embody that. Show me when the trials happen, the temptations happen. Show me, like, reveal to me that those steps. Amen. The empire rests back. The pronouncement about Nineveh, the book of the vision, Nahum the Elkoshite. Yahweh is a God who is passionate and takes redress. Yahweh takes redress and is a master of fury. Yahweh takes redress on his adversaries, maintains it toward his enemies. Yahweh is long tempered but big in strength, and certainly doesn't treat people as innocent. Yahweh, his way is in the whirlwind and storm. The cloud is the dust from his feet. He blasts the sea and withers it, dries up all the rivers. Bashan and Carmel languish. Lebanon's bud languishes. Mountains quake before him, the hills melt. The earth lifts before him, the world and all the people who live in it. Before his wrath, who can stand, and who can rise against his angry burning? His fury pours out like fire, and rocks shatter because of him. Yahweh is good. a stronghold on the day of trouble. He acknowledges people who take refuge with him. With a sweeping flood, he makes an end of someone's place, pursues his enemies into darkness. What do you plan for Yahweh? He makes an end. Trouble doesn't rise twice, because they're tangled among thorns and drunk as with their drink. They're consumed like straw that is fully dry. From you has gone out one who plans evil against Yahweh, one who counsels wickedness. Yahweh has said this: if they're thriving, and even so many, even so they're sheared and are passing away. Whereas I afflicted you, I shall afflict you no more. So now I shall break its yoke from on you, tear off your shackles. Yahweh has commanded against you, nothing more from your name will be sown. From your God's house I shall cut off carved image and cast image. I shall make your grave, because you're insignificant. There on the mountain, the feet of a herald, proclaiming good fortune. Celebrate your pilgrimage, Judah. Fulfill your vows, because wickedness will no more pass through you. The whole of it is cut off. A shattered has gone up against you. Guard the guard post. Watch the road. Gird up your loins. Fortify your strength, all you can, because Yahweh is restoring Jacob's majesty, like Israel's majesty. Because wasters have wasted them, ravaged their branches. His warrior's shield is painted red, the soldiers clad in scarlet. The cherry tree is with flashing fire on the day it's made ready. The junipers are brandished. In streets, the cherry tree race. They rush about in the square, their appearance like torches. They speed like lightning streaks. He musters his nobles, they fall as they go. They hurry to its walls, the siege shelter is made ready. The river gates open, the palace melts. It's decreed, it's exiled, it's taken up. The servant girl lament like the voice of doves, beating on their breast. Nineveh was like a pool of water of old, but they're fleeing. Stop, stop, and no one can turn them. Plunder silver, plunder gold. There's no limit to the things prepared. The splendor fall in the things that people hold in high regard. So we can imagine that Nineveh has turned away from in the book of Jonah their their repentance, and so then justice has fallen on them. Some years ago, British Indian novelist Salman Rushdie published a piece in the London Times about writers in Britain's former colonial empire. In a riff on the movie titled The Empire Strikes Back, the piece was entitled The Empire Writes Back. Such writers assert, argue for, and demonstrate the independent viability and importance of work emerging from their once colonial cultures and resisting the framework of thinking imposed on them in their imperial past. They assert their country's independence as not merely a matter of government, but of thinking and self understanding. In Nahum's day, Judah is effectively an Assyrian colony. There is no body of Assyrians' residents in Jerusalem directly controlling affairs there, but Assyria controls its relations with other people from its capital, Nineveh, and extracts taxes from the privilege of being part of the Assyrian Empire. Judah's position is thus a little like Kenya's or Malaysia's when they were seeking independence from Britain in the 1950s. And the 12 prophets so far, the center of gravity has lain in the 8th century BC, the heyday of Assyrian power, the time of Hosea, Amos, Jonah, and Micah, and also Isaiah ben Amos. And Nahum, Habakkuk, and Zephaniah and Jeremiah, the focus moves into the 7th century BC, the year of Assyria's decline. All right, so are you seeing that? So it looks like these prophets, Hosea, Amos, Jonah, and Micah, and also Isaiah ben Amos, were during the Assyrian rule. And then Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, and Jeremiah, they're around Babylonian rule time. So the year of Assyria's decline was eventually taken over by Babylon. Nahum's job is to declare that Assyria's fall will indeed happen. He was proved right, which will likely be one reason why this little collection of his prophecies was included in the scriptures. Elkoshite indicates where Nahum comes from, but we don't know where the city of Elkosh? Maybe it's Elkosh. I keep saying Elk, but Elkosh was. Prophets such as Nahum give no encouragement to Judah to attempt violent resistance to Assyria. Though it's not because they think violence is wrong, but because the task of the people of God is to trust in God and let Him sort out their future. They have in common with modern colonial writers a passion to discourage the people from simply accepting their faith as inedible. They want to encourage hope in their people, and that is Nahum's aim. The prophets can see a power such as Assyria as both God's agent and God's enemy. It's God's agent because it's God's means of chastising Israel for rebelling against God. Assyria acts in this way not because it wants to serve God, but because it wants to extend its power and wealth. Nahum declares that God is not one who simply sits on the side when an empire presses other for such reasons. Even if it assures itself it's also bringing benefit to the people it conquers. Nahum takes up the style in some of the words from God's self-revelation, Exodus 34, in which God declares himself to be gracious and forgiving, and points out that this revelation doesn't mean Yahweh is indifferent when nations behave in a way that demands redress. Yahweh has passion aroused in those circumstances. How stupid to make plans against Yahweh. He also has an army to muster. Nahum may be referring to the army of another nation that Yahweh will marshal, in which case the literal reference will be Babylon, which will in due course take on Assyria. But more likely he's referring to Yahweh's heavenly forces. Grammatically, his prophecies sometimes address Assyria, sometimes Judah. His actual audience is Judah, the people directly encouraged when God speaks of acknowledging people who take refuge with him. But Judah is also able to overhear what God is saying to Assyria for its further encouragement. All right, friend, we talked, just so you know, that Yahweh, even though when he uses a nation to judge another nation, doesn't mean he 100% approves what that nation does. He then will bring justice on that nation. So the Assyrians will fall. All right, we can start, my friend. And I'll be back. Bum 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 bum.
Find anything interesting lately?
I might have. Let's talk. I've got what you asked for. Show me what you had in mind for the forge fire.
Finally! Was feeling like I neglected her. And that's a little too close to my family life. She's done, and she's yours. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Looks great. I almost expected you to turn it into a burning ropecaster or something.
Nah, she was close to perfect from the start. She's a Varja original, after all.
You think you could improve Aratak's spear?
I've never seen a weapon that couldn't be improved by Oseram craft. You know, I tried to ask him if I could hold her once. Even offered to improve her for free.
How'd that go?
How do you think? He just grunted and kept walking.
Thanks for your work on the forge fire.
Pleasure. I mean, you couldn't be more of an improvement on her last owner. What a pile of slag he was.
If I find anything I think you'd like, I'll be back around.
You better.
Hunters already compete.
But send them to the cut, and most of them don't last a week.
My people have been telling tales of your accomplishments. Seems you have taken a special interest in our stretch of snow, Outlander.
Yes. And apparently this is the only way I'll get to see all of it.
Is this a challenge?
For the Warwick.
You? This must be a joke.
It is not a joke, Aratak.
Oh, I see. The Outlander's your pawn. And with you backing her claim, I have no choice but to accept. I expected better of you, sister.
It was you who forbidden me from Thunder's drum, brother.
Brother and sister? This is a little more complicated than I thought.
No, it's simple. You will meet me at the Frost Figures, and I'll put a quick end to this mockery.
I suppose I owe you an explanation.
Yeah. I suppose you do. So why didn't you tell me that you and Aratak are siblings?
I thought I wouldn't have to. I'm surprised Aratak brought it up in front of a stranger. He must be very angry. I'm not always the best judge of
People.
I prefer the company of spirits. They're simply my own. I didn't want you to think of our pilgrimage as some sort of family squabble. It's much more important than that.
Araya, it's not about who's related to who. I want to know what's inside Thunder's drum. The spirit, the daemon, and how it all connects to the machines. But if we're gonna go through with this, I need you to be straight with me.
I underestimated you. And Aratak. I won't make that mistake again.
See you at the Frost Figures then. So, off to risk my life in order to take charge of the new hunting band. Just what I always wanted. here I come. Frost figures. Aratak and Araya must be close.
Outlander. I have prevailed over such challenges before, and fear none. This one is foolish. You are not Banuk. You do not understand my responsibilities. I ask you, one hunter to another, withdraw.
Will you let us go to Thunderstrom?
You haven't seen what's up there, Outlander. I will not risk my sister's life again.
Then we better get on with this.
So be it! I will bury your insolent claim in the frozen ground!
Enough! Let us begin. To hunt, to strive. That is the way of the Banuk and of the contest before you. You will climb the frost figures from the east, Aratak from the west. Each trail wends its way through deadly machines. Hunters from the Werak will be posted along the way. They will hail you, calling out machines for you to slay. Your hunt will take you around the ridge to the center, where you must descend to the valley for your final kill. Each time, after your prey has fallen, you must launch a beacon such as this, so that all our kin will see your progress.
Kill machines, launch balloons. Got it. So, the first of us to launch the third balloon wins?
Well, yes. And as challenger, your path to victory is harder. If even one of your beacons comes in after Aratak's, he prevails.
You had your chance, Outlander.
So did you.
The hunt begins on my mark. Now!
All right, gotta head up that mountain. Looks like there are a few ways to go up, and those rock paintings mark the paths. Okay, up we go. I seem to be on the right path. Almost to the top.
All right, Challenger. You need to take out the herd below. Every machine.
Full herd. Okay, I can do that.
Climb on up and launch your marker!
All right, here we go.
Now climb the ridge and launch your balloon!
Aratok knows what he's doing. No time to waste.
Take the rappel point to the next challenge.
2 bellowbacks ahead, Challenger. Kill them both. None of the other machines matter.
All right, 2 dead bellowbacks coming up.
here, Challenger! Raise your marker!
I'm ahead, but only by a little. I gotta get moving.
Now take the zip line and work your way down to the valley.
Storm's kicking up. Can't see much. Close now. Almost down. All right, to the last challenge.
Something's wrong. My kin should be here, driving in our final quarry.
They're right behind us!
So it's true. Frost Claws from Thunder's Drum.
The attack cut short the competition. Naturally, there can be no result. It is void.
You saw what she did. She defeated the machines, not I. It is proven. She's the better hunter. We are Banuk. Survive, prevail. What else matters? My blood is in your teeth. I take my place behind you on the hunt.
No more hunters may make the ascent to Thunder's Drum. The way is closed to all but the chieftain and myself.
It is not my place, but I would ask a boon. To accompany you and my sister.
It might be permitted. But only if you do as I...
Oh, where he uses the... Like, he actually uses, It's pretty later on. Yeah, I think it's more in Naruto Shippuden era.
Say.
No. Only if you do as I say.
Thunder's Drum awaits. There's a camp at its base, Long Notch it's called. Meet us there when you're ready. Chieftain.
All the winters. A new outfit. And a weapon like Artok's. I guess the chieftain gets the chieftain's gear. Varja will want to take a look at the ice rail.
Game's like telling me I probably should have done the expansion first. Because dang, the weapons they give you in the expansion are pretty awesome. Alright, I have the lightning rifle. It got stronger. Like, you're able to get it upgraded.
Didn't get colors like this we embrace.
That's why it looks cooler. Yep. That's why it has the fancy, like, crystal colors behind it, because I got it upgraded. Yeah. Yeah.
Might regret this. Fresh as it comes. Back again, Enjuk.
You've picked up my interest in the beasts of the old world, I see.
I've got a few more figurines for you, Enjuk.
Thank you, Aloy. Look, such form and poise they have upon their pedestals. Montana Recreations truly captured their legacy.
That's all for now.
Until next time, then.
Ursus Americanus, the magnificent American black bear. Brought to you by Montana Recreations.
Why would you like to find yourself cornered by that thing?
I suspect I'd like it very much indeed. It's a beautiful thing. survive and prevail.
Outlander, it would be my honor to speak with you. I've heard of you, Huntress. Each of the many verses of your song tells of an impossible victory. The notes echo across the cut.
You shouldn't believe everything you hear.
That I know. My song used to echo around Banur. Umnak, the hunter of legendary machines. That's why I'm here. For another. They call it the Claws Beneath. Or they did when I was younger. Its defeat would have given my song a fine end. Oh yeah. I used to travel between Banur and the Cut without stopping to sleep. But this trip, my bones ache, Huntress. But you, out hunting Aratak, leading your own Werak. If half your song is true, you are the only hunter I trust to go in my place.
You want me to hunt for you?
Not just for me, no. For an old friend.
This is obviously important to you, Umnak. Are you sure you want someone else to take down this machine?
No, I am no longer a match for the Claws Beneath. If I ever was. If I face it, it will kill me. Of this I have no doubt. The Banuk blood in my veins screams at me to take on the Claws myself.
Text me so I can
But I must see it brought down.
Hello.
And dead men see precious little.
Don't push on it. I don't want to hit them.
Friend of mine. He died while we hunted the
No.
Claws Beneath. Many, many years ago. Would spilling my blood on his grave make him happy? Would it bring him peace? It seems unlikely.
Yeah.
All right, Umnak. I'll do what I can.
I've no doubt you can do quite a lot. The stories say the Claws Beneath
Please don't.
returns here
Yeah.
only once every 6 winters. The whispers I've heard say it now makes its home on the northeast edge of the cut. Hunt well.
Ow.
So, sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you.
Glad to hear those bandits won't be troubling us further.
Find anything interesting lately?
I might have. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Like your map.
I've got a nice rail, just like Aratak's. You want to take a look?
Are you serious? Yes, yes, I'd love that. Okay. Obvious design flaw. So if I replace these... Yeah, that should... Right. So, believe it or not, she's operating at, let's be generous, half her potential.
What's with the she's?
Oh, Pop says all weapons are girls. I don't think he realizes it's a compliment. Well, listen. If we had a Thunderjaw's mandibles to work with, her gears would be well and truly greased. And I know where to find one, if you want to go hunting with me.
If I find anything I think you'd like, I'll be back around.
You better.
Fires all around the world.
That just means a campfire, B. It's not an actual, like, not actually on fire. Going to the... Alright, Daddy needs to use his hand now.
That pig? What pig is that? Oh, I got arrowed. Are you gonna take some of this? Good. Sorry. Try to get. Are you getting it?
They just carved it. Food out of it.
I tried to shoot. Shoot that! Are you gonna shoot?
I'm gonna make it my friend.
I tried to buy other.
Oh, I'll be finding a big robot really soon.
I think there's a monster.
Sure feels good to be out of knee-deep snow. So, we've got a Thunderjaw. I'm ready to do this. On your lead.
Oh,
You
my
are
God.
falling.
Going down fast.
Yeah. Oh, like a falling. Falling. Dad,
Yeah,
help me back up. Dad, help me.
you got it. You could climb. You got yourself up there.
Off. Off.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the on button? On button.
Well, usually pressing the button just does stuff. Right now? Yeah. Huh. Guess, no. Roblox, its full intent is to make sense. That's a joke. You're not trying to make sense. Not trying to be logic.
Oh.
Should be able to fix up the ice wall.
Oh, that one I had to defeat so that she can make my weapon stronger. Watch this, she's gonna make the ice spear stronger. It's called an ice rail technique. My friend, you are just correcting things you don't know. This is the ice rail. He's going to make the ice rail stronger. This weapon. That's what I'm not.
Found the part. Ready to fix up that weapon?
I am always ready to fix up a weapon.
Never thought I'd be glad to see the inside of a Thunderjaw's mouth.
I sure am. Every machine's a big box of tools. Once they stop trying to kill you, that is. Trust me, Aloy. You won't recognize this ice rail when I'm through. There. Oh, she's perfect. A spear's a spear, right? Poke slash done. Boring. I adjusted the chill water flow, rebalanced here, strapped on a launcher, and now she shoots freezing spikes. Ta-da!
You weren't kidding.
More beautiful, more powerful. That's my guarantee.
Thanks, Varja. These 3 weapons are fine work.
Are you kidding? I can't remember when I had this much fun. I should be thanking you.
I'm the one walking away with the weapons, aren't I?
Seems wrong to charge you for giving me an opportunity to do what I love doing. Don't tell Pop I said that. Here, whenever I tinker with weapons, I go through fistfuls of this stuff. Maybe you'll get some use out of it.
A watermelon
How many great warriors have they ignored?
ice cream.
Long Notch is well stocked, as you asked.
And our scouts are
Here's
watching for more
strawberry.
But our purpose was to take back the mountain.
One
Now what?
Stay prepared. Sharpen your spears.
chocolate.
Ooh.
Should we not return,
That would be
defending
tasty.
the cut falls to you.
That would be really
If our chieftain agrees with his course.
Sounds like good advice, but let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Chieftain?
The weight of command is no small burden.
I can see that. I take it you haven't spoken to Araya yet?
Why should I? This is what she wanted. To return to Thunder's Drum. It is her only care. So I should have known she would find a way to push aside my spear.
Hmm?
After the Karja took my sister,
In this game, yeah.
not all of her came back.
Was he old?
What happened to
It
Araya
looked like
when she was a captive of the Karja?
As a shaman, she's adept with machines. Tracking them, stunning them. The Karja used her to capture them for the Sun Ring, where they were unleashed upon the innocent. They made her part of their blood sport. The shame she suffered beneath their pitiless sun.
She survived.
She endured.
I liked it.
Endured by reminding herself of the spirit, her purpose. And now that's all she has.
Oh, take my crown.
Tell me what happened to the first expedition.
Rhea led the way to the summit.
Alright, Broheim, in
but it was blocked by a
in
great
7 minutes you have to
door.
go through step, okay?
Some kind of cauldron.
Right back.
Metal.
Okay.
We tried to break through, but it was unflinching.
Okay.
We were exhausted. No way forward and machines behind. I made the call to push back. It cost us greatly. But to remain would have cost us everything. I had hoped to never subject Araya to that again.
What do you think is beyond that door?
I do not know. That expanse of metal, that dead hum. Nothing sacred belongs there. Machines and death, that's what the mountain holds. Death for us or for the daemon.
And if we do find the spirit?
Then perhaps we should put it out of its misery.
For what it's worth, I'm glad you're coming with me.
Someone has to keep Araya safe.
The song echoes, friend.
The biggest braggart in my Werrick says he's going after the cause.
From the bowling alley, you want me to wear it? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Ah. Want to sit on my lap? Okay, then you can ask. Okay. Hi, friend. Make your way to a safe spot. We have to go through steps.
Oh. I wanted to use it.
Yes, my friend? You go full insanity? Yeah, that is a pretty bad idea. For how painful it was? Yes, B. Okay. After you're done with your inventory, you gotta go through steps, okay? But taking time.
He's just changing his clothes on there.
Now look, you're not in combat, so you're safe. Good. So after you look through your equipment, let's go through steps.
Oh. Have a good night.
Oh, these ones might be nice. Because they have that purple on them. That purple means that they're unniceable. They're perpetually, they're super mean all the time. And there's a really bad machine making them super angry. Purple. Yeah. If I do, I will. That's a geyser. Someday we'll go to Yellowstone National Park and see the geysers there.
Dad, try to find
Oh, there it is. There's the color. Yeah. Yep.
What is that?
That's all the pigments.
What was that?
Oh, that was a color. Now I gotta figure out.
I just saw blue. What's that blue?
That's what that was for. Oh, fibrous. That's Song Edge. Okay, so I have to go to Song Edge and trade. Stone yield. All right, friend. You're not in battle, so you can bounce. Hey. I mean, you were in a. Well, now you have the sword. The sword's against you. You were safe in that building, though. He didn't have a sword.
Oh, now I know why.
It's a pleasure to see you.
Some songs are rituals, others stories. But my favorites are simply jokes.
These new Karja offer peace to the Banuk. None will forget the Red Raids, but perhaps...
Inatut think he was doing fighting with that Karja? He's going to start the war all over again. Could it be a
Inatut. As we are bound by laws, you are bound by wire. Yet your crime was the act of killing. So we must drive you out. Away from the Werak. From protection. From our songs.
My chieftain, Kopalai, am I not your favorite fighter? Do you not recognize me from this tooth you knocked out?
How many times have I pulled you from danger by your neck? Made excuses for your behavior? You are my favorite! But the shaman is decided. While you wait for exile, think on what brought you here.
A test of strength! Who among us would refuse a challenge from an outlander? Not I! But I did not kill him!
Hush, hush. You can tell your story to the ice.
You took Artok's mantle.
It's mine now.
I would like to see that fight.
They said that you killed someone.
Perhaps I did. If even my chieftain accepts it, it must be so.
That's not the way it works for me. Want to tell me your story?
I did fight with the Karja hunter to settle a challenge. That much is true. He was strong and damn quick. We traded punches. Good punches. Hard punches. And the next thing I remember... gray morning light. And the Karja beside me, with his head broken open. But the blow was not by my hand.
I'll be honest. You haven't got a good defense, Inatut.
I've heard that one before.
Where did the fight happen?
A clearing, just outside the Karja Outlanders camp. You should talk to them. They wouldn't hear me out. They say no one else could have been there, other than me and the dead man. The shaman consulted the signs in the snow, and agreed.
I'll see what I can find out. And I'll be back.
I'll be here. What else am I gonna do? Until the Horn gives a call from my exile.
Banakai waded into the pool. The
I... Oseram encampments creep closer to Banuk lands. They should exercise some caution. I've heard of your performance at the hunting grounds. Everyone gets lucky occasionally. I could hardly believe my eyes.
Quite a view you've got up here.
It's a useful perspective. How fleeting we are when the world is so wide. From up here, you can see how the light paints across the land. Ever changing. That's a lesson. All our marks will pass.
That outlook sounds a little depressing for a painter.
Haven't met many artists, have you? Song's Edge needs new stories. I scrubbed its past off this rock to start anew, but a new start needs new colors. Fresh pigments, like none have seen. Would you look at that, Nora girl? You've bought me all I need. Do you always travel with your pockets full of paint stuffs?
Honestly, Sakuli, I go around filling my pockets with most of everything.
Stop, stop. I'm beginning to like you. I work alone, but come back around later, and I'll have something for you then.
That's me.
Maybe it's a machine rider who looks like you.
Where's she going?
You tell me. To ruins or mountains, through flood or thaw, past, future, destiny. But I don't think she's scared of any of it. You helped me. Inspired me. And the people of the Cut. Let this be inspiration for you, wherever you may run.
Alright friends, we're getting off to go through steps. Catch you guys in a bit.